215-592-9494 for what is flowing through you right now. The emotions of it all again. Phone line's there for you, 215-592-9494. Richie Rich.
Joe.
John, how are you, pal? How great was that, man?
Unbelievable.
How great was that?
We're
My
going to the
God.
Super Bowl again. This is phenomenal. Jalen Hurts, the first quarterback to go back to the Super Bowl after losing a Super Bowl.
Since Jim Kelly.
I know.
Yeah,
Jim
think
Kelly.
about that.
I know.
How crazy is that?
It was a long time ago.
The first since Jim Kelly, first since the 90s, first since back when it was, man, when I was watching as a kid.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. By the way, you can throw an object farther if it's thrown west.
Oh, that's a wild fact.
Because of the rotation of the Earth.
I didn't expect to spend much time on our fact, but I got to tell you, that one's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, the Coriolis effect causes a deflection of the object's path as it travels across the rotating Earth. So
Wild.
when you throw it, it goes farther if it's west.
Wild. All right, look, guys, get rolling on the phone lines. I mean, it's a great day to be a Philadelphia sports fan. These are the days, obviously, we live for as a Philly sports fan. Now, obviously, the mission is not complete yet. There's one more game to go. The Eagles have been installed as a 1.5-point underdog. Obviously, KC is great. Obviously, the Eagles are great. It should be a hell of a Super Bowl. It was an incredible NFC Championship game, and not for the Washington Commanders. Look, first off, I'll just say congrats to the squad, the whole organization, Lori and Howie. For them, it's 3 and 8 years now that they've reached it. Obviously, when you include Nick, it's 2 and 3 years for the organization. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal yesterday. He was so spectacular, probably his best performance of the season, just an absolutely outstanding performance by him, and we'll highlight him throughout the show. Defense creating turnovers, and I didn't think it was the defense's greatest day. Got a little scary at certain points, like what's going on here? But they created a ton of turnovers, which obviously just demolished Washington's chances to do anything. Saquon and the O-line did their thing early and often. I mean, you have the injury effect with both Juergens and Dickerson, two different guys trying to gut it out at various points. That was incredibly admirable. Look, this is a team I really admire, and I think we all admire. We wake up today really proud. We wake up today really, really, really excited. Celebration went deep last night. I know that.
Oh.
So he hit us up today at 215-592.
It was hard to sleep last night. I'm not going to lie, man. It was really hard to fall asleep
I fell asleep at 1 o'clock. I mean, it just, So, look, celebration's on. At some point, we'll hardcore it about the Super Bowl up ahead, but for now, it's obviously primarily about the celebration, the ass-kicking from the Eagles yesterday to Washington, and your thoughts and emotions at 215-592-9494. John, what are you thinking? What are you feeling, man?
It was an incredible job by the coaches, the play callers. Not much to complain about on that front. The play designers. Let's talk about that. The play designers who gave Jalen Hurts options on so many plays. Think the first play from scrimmage. He's out there. He changed the play to that toss crack. I'm just off the top of my head. Think about the quarterback draw where Saquon is lead blocking for Jalen. He changed the play. He had those options. Kellen Moore looked like an offensive coordinator who deserved all the interview attention that he's getting. This is an unreal concept that we once again get to go to the Super Bowl. This is the biggest event in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of folks get to make amends, and we get to go beat the best team in the world the last 2 times out.
I wanted KC to win for that purpose, John.
Look,
I did.
I think we got the better matchup. Like I'm not going to jump ahead to it yet, but I feel good about the fact that we're going to get to make amends. And I thought the Bills were better than the Chiefs, but not yesterday in the allotted time. So our team gets to make amends and avenge that Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs and Andy Reid, and this is an opportunity to distance our organization from that Andy Reid era even further and very definitively. And Howie Roseman, holy cow, Thank you once again for what I think should be Executive of the Year if it were not for Brad Holmes in Detroit. That is amazing what he did too, but it is amazing what Howie has done. And Howie, our roster is a monster. Our roster, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, they represent that final hurdle really, I think, in Howie's evolution, where I was worried about those skill guys, the small skill guys, the wide receivers, the DBs. Those were sort of like the Achilles heel, it seemed, for Howie in the draft room. And then Devontae Smith and Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell represent that final hurdle in Howie's ascension to true excellence.
Yeah, look,
these cornerbacks are truly excellent. And what they do in today's world, they give us this nickel flexibility to do anything we want to do. And Vic Fangio can treat every game with flexibility, and that's part of the reason why we are so successful.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot in there with what John said. I'll start with what he said there at the very end about Howie. Look, I hope he makes the Hall of Fame. I think he should. Now, that's going to be a conversation really for 5 to 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years from now, honestly. But I think he's a Hall of Fame general manager. I know as Philadelphia sports fans, we're incredibly lucky. He's the GM of our football team. And it's almost like what I'd call 2.5 different teams that the Eagles have taken to the Super Bowl. 17 was very different than 22. And this one is very different on defense than 22. The offense is, basically the same, but it's a completely different defense. So to me, it's almost like he's got 2.5 different teams, if you kind of catch my drift, 3 if you want to call it that, just in the composition of the squad that gets there. It's an incredible achievement. And again, I don't want to lose sight on the game specifically yesterday because we're going to big picture it with the whole deal, but I don't want to lose sight at all on how remarkable Jalen played yesterday. He was so phenomenal. I thought perhaps the play of the game, because it was maybe when the game hung in the balance the most.
4th and 5?
4th and 5.
No doubt.
No
doubt. It was the play of the game, play of the season.
It was just massive because I think at the time they had, a 2-point lead, and obviously Washington would have had good field position, and he dropped that ball in there. James, give me your thoughts, your emotions. What are you feeling?
I'm just so happy, man. Like when you think about last year and the disaster that was and how bummed we were and how depressing it was after the Super Bowl and how much hope we had for the future with that team, for it to come down last year and for them to start the way they did this year and bounce back and become an absolute juggernaut. 55 points in the NFC the most points ever scored by any team in the history of the NFC Championship game. Ever. I saw 2 Super Bowls in the first 37 years of my life. I'm going to see 2 in 3 years. Are you kidding me? Like, this is freaking awesome, man. I'm so proud of this team. I'm so proud of these guys. I'm so proud.
I agree.
Totally
pride. But this city deserves this feeling too. This team deserves this feeling. Nick Sirianni, thank you for all those little things that you've done. This is a team that was begging Nick Sirianni to put the pads on and hit and practice longer this season. And he did. He did that. And then the next week, he would let them walk through on Wednesday. It was always, custom tailored to whatever the team really needed. And he has tapped into exactly what this team, the pulse of this team. So thank you to Nick Sirianni. Also, we really are the best team in the world. And I think 55 points, the most ever scored in a conference championship, like Jimmy said, that evidence is there. We are going to beat whoever we go up against, and it just so happens it's the Chiefs, so we get to feel extra good about those relationships that we are going to dominate on the way to winning a Super Bowl again.
All right, 215-592-9494. Rhea, what are you feeling?
I still can't believe Saquon Barkley is an Eagle. I mean, just you watch what he does. I mean, that first play, and the other thing, so it was in the second half when they started to roll. It wasn't like a crazy party. Like, people were real excited. And it's what I saw from the team after. Composure, we got one more. It's not like we're just happy to be here.
Totally.
That's the felt I got. And I loved what I saw out of Cam Jurgens. I mean, that was one hell of a performance. You could see it in his post-game comments, the emotion of how that guy was able to...
And he was not walking well off the field. No. I saw him going to the locker room, and he was very stiff.
Very gingerly to step in for Landon.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just huge.
And it was warrior stuff.
It was. And Rio, on your Saquon point, one thing I put up on Twitter after his touchdown that got the game rolling right out of the gate... how in the world did he somehow fall out of the MVP race around week 17 or 18?
I have no idea.
He's right
That's
there.
Wrong.
He's right there.
Wrong.
And then all of a sudden, he's forgotten about nationally.
It's the best Eagles season we've ever seen.
There's no question. Listen, it might be the best season of Philadelphia sports since Steve Carlton in 1972.
It might be. Schmidt and 80, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but it might be better than Schmidt and 80. I mean, it's bonkers. It's bonkers what Saquon has done. And yes, he gets, obviously tremendous help with the guys on the offensive line.
7 rushing touchdowns, Joe. 7.
No, the team, yeah. And let's be real, that run he had yesterday to start the game should have been a, 8-yard run. And he made it a 60-yard run. I mean, it was nuts. All right. Phone calls, line up. Let's roll. 215-592-9494. Tell us your emotions, your reaction. We'll break down the game, but also just the emotional side of it. It's a special day. It really is. Where you partied, where you celebrated, who you were with. Let's roll. 215-592-9494.